Good evening. This meeting of April 11, 2016 of the Dubuque Community School District Board of Education is called to order. Our mission is to develop world-class learners and citizens of character in a safe and inclusive learning community. Roll call, please.
Mr. Barton.
Here.
Mr. Byteen.
Here.
Mr. Donahue.
Here.
Mr. Prohaska.
Here.
Ms. Ryan.
Here.
Ms. Siegert.
Here.
Ms. Whitman.
Here.
Thank you. We are joined tonight by Troop 11, which I understand is going to do a fill-in for us for the Pledge of Allegiance. So,
All right.
David's going to introduce them. Well, they look surprised, but I'm told they were ready.
They can do this.
They remember the Pledge of Allegiance.
This is Troop 11. This isn't Troop 10 or Troop 12.
Hey guys, stop. If you would stop there, using your outside voice, tell us what school you go to and your name.
My name is Colin, and I go to Mazzucchelli.
My name is Adam Rundy. I go to Dubuque Senior.
My name is Ben Crow, and I go to Dubuque Senior.
My name is Andrew. I go to Dubuque Wahlert.
My name is Adam Kramer. I go to Washington.
My name is Dylan Dean. I go to Washington.
My name is Paul Cass. I go to Washington.
My name is Dominic Smith, and I go to Washington.
My name is Ethan Landers, and I go to Washington.
Flags back here, guys.
Back here, guys.
Wait, guys. Yep.
Go ahead. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Extra credit for your badges.
Mr. President, I move the Board of Education approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve that the Board of Education approve the agenda as submitted. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move the Board of Education approve the minutes of the regular meeting on March 14th, 2016 as submitted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Education approve the minutes of the regular meeting on March 14th, 2016 as submitted. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Let's see, we have a public hearing on the budget estimate for fiscal 2016-17. And Mr. Keller, are you going to present first?
Good evening, board members and Superintendent Ryan Gans. Tonight, we are asking you to approve the levy rate for the upcoming 16-17 school year. The amount that was published in the paper about 15 days ago was at $15.23. That is actually a little higher than what we'll end up approving because at that time there was no settlement between the legislature and the governor, so we have to publish a rate. We published at 0%. That led to the $15.23 rate. Since that time, the governor and the legislature has approved a 2.25, which will end up adjusting it down to about a $14.97 rate. The problem, as we've been talking about for many years, is the timeliness that the legislature and the governor approved this. Tonight I'm going to present or talk to you about our certified budget proposal, and in that we actually had to deal with 5 rates. We had the 0% because that is the current law until the legislature and governor approve one. There was the Senate, which submitted a 4% rate. There was the House that submitted a 2% rate. There was the governor who recommended a 2.45, and as you all know, they finally settled last week at a 2.25. So when we put this document together, we just assumed the 2.45 is the governor's recommendation rate. So not all the figures will be exactly the 2.25 that was settled at, but we had to use something, and that's what we chose to do. So every year.
So to the audience, there's 2 screens to your right showing the documents he's referring to.
Right. This is the certified budget proposal document that we prepare every time we come to propose the levy rate for the upcoming school year. We put it together again this year. For the public, they will be able to find that, or it's on our website under the finance area. They can flip to that and go through this booklet. Tonight I'm only going to highlight a few of the pages. So if there's other issues or other things they want to look at, there's definitions in that. There's descriptions of what the levy rate is, how we come to it, etc. That's all in this document, and the people are free to read that and email me with any questions that they might have.
Kevin, this is essentially the same process that we've used for years.
Correct.
There's no new nuance.
There's nothing new that we're talking about tonight that we haven't talked about in the past. So for new listeners, it'll be new for them, but for people who have tuned in for this every other year, it'll be virtually the same process, just repeating it. One thing I wanted to make you aware of too is the levy rate is going up for this year. I'll show you a slide on the history of that, but it is higher than last year's rate. Okay. So this is kind of a recap sheet on page 1 of really School Funding 101. It lists all the different funding silos that the district budgets for, including the general fund, which is where we pay our salaries and benefits. And that's the fund that's affected by what the legislature and governor do, setting supplemental state aid. That increases the percentage of funding each year in the general fund. But that doesn't make up the total levy rate. It's also the Pebble Fund and the Management Fund are included in the total levy rate. But as you can see here, capital projects is a funding silo, Management Fund is a silo, Nutrition Fund, and student activity funds. These are all their individual silos that the district deals with. And capital projects is really the sales tax and Pebble Fund where we build our buildings. So the levy rate is only the Pebble Fund that deals with that. The sales tax money comes in, we build buildings with that, but it cannot be used for general fund purposes. So when we talk about the reductions in the $3 million that we Superintendent Ryan introduced to you at a couple of board meetings ago, that it has to do with only the general fund. And please ask any questions along the way. Here's that graph that I wanted to talk to you about. It shows the history on the left side of the levy rate for the district. It goes back 10 years. So you see it was about $16.89 for several years. Then we started to decline because at that time the district did not need the funds that would have generated that higher amount. We only levy the dollars that we need to operate. So conditions were better. We were able to decrease that levy rate down to the low was about right around the $14 rate. Another point I'd like to bring to your attention is we compare ourselves to other UEN school districts, and those are urban educational networks. That's the 8 largest metro schools in the state of Iowa. Our levy rate that we're proposing around the $14.97-98 level, when we compare that to the last year's UEN rates, it is substantially lower than the other 7 districts. So our levy rate, if you lived in another district, one of those other urban education areas, would be higher than it is in Dubuque. And this is a slide that's not in the packet or in the booklet, but we introduced it a couple years ago, and I want to continue that process, just comparing our rate to the city and the county. It shows, the county and the city have been virtually on a consistent or slightly increasing levy rate, while the Dubuque schools has actually declined during the same comparative period. So we're starting to go on an uptick a little bit now, but we did actually come down, and the proposed rate this year is $1.90 lower than it was 6 years ago. You have to go back to the 05-06 school year to find a rate comparable to the $14.98. So that was over 10 years ago. And this final sheet is, again, something we present every year. It's a comparison on what the property tax or the levy rate is going to do to the average property tax holder. it breaks it down into the different component units. It has the residential, the commercial, the industrial, and then also the new one that was created a couple years ago called the multi-residential property. That was actually combined with the commercial a few years ago, and they separated the two. The governor and the legislature decided that those two entities were different enough that they created their own classifications. So if you look at the residential piece, the average property owner this year will pay on an average property value of $130,000, about $65 if you're a residential property owner. So you'll see that much of an increase with this levy rate. Now you look at the commercial side, that's going up considerably more. The reason for that is you see there's a line called equalization order. What that represents, that's done on a county-wide basis, and what happens is they compare the sales of commercial property to the assessed values. And as what happens here, that equalization order, they found that the sales were considerably higher of the properties than the assessed value. So what they attempt to do is to raise the assessed values up to what they consider the actual true value of the properties. So they had a 1.12 increase in their equalization order. So that's why you see their percentage or their tax rate going up higher than the residential. So in conclusion tonight, really the levy rate, even though you're approving a $15.23 roughly, we will adjust it down to $14.97 now that we know the actual state supplemental aid increase. Again, remind everyone that this is our rate as a district is lower than every other UEN district in the state of Iowa, and I think that's important to recognize. And then the last piece is really, it's the levy rate, even though it's going up, is still $1.90 lower than it was 6 years ago, and we have to go back over 10 years ago to come up to the rate being at that same level. Any questions on any of that?
I would just point out directionally with the levy, I remember most of us were here at the table when we were reducing that levy and did that because we were, in a sense, levying cash that we didn't have the authority to spend. And I think at the time we said we're going to lower the levy and not have idle cash sitting around that we can't use.
Correct.
But I think we said in the next breath there will be a day, we will levy it when we need it, we will drop it when we don't. And I think this is probably just a good example of where that has turned a bit for us.
Correct. Yeah, the last few years when we presented this, we've always had that little caveat that, it has come down, but there will be a day when it starts to go back up.
And just point of order, so we published the 1523.
Right.
So do we actually approve 1498?
Nope, you'll approve the
1523.
Right, and we submit it to the Department of Management, and then they will make the adjustment, because now that the state has settled, she'll adjust the levy rates down, or according to whatever the 2.25 rate.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions for Kevin?
Thank you.
I move that the Board of Education receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing on the budget estimate and authorize payment of the legal notice publication cost to the Telegraph Herald.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Education receive and file proof of publication of the notice of public hearing on the budget estimate and authorize payment of legal notice publication costs to the Telegraph Herald. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
I move that the Board of Education open the public hearing to allow for public comments.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Education open the public hearing to allow public comments. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We are in open public hearing. If there's anybody wishing to address the board and make any comments relative to the certified budget proposal, you could step forward at this time. Not all at once.
I move that the Board of Education close the public hearing and return to regular session.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Education close the public hearing and return to regular session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
I move that the Board of Education adopt the budget estimate for fiscal 2016-2017 as published.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Education adopt the budget estimate for fiscal 2016-17 as published. Any final discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Kelleher and your team, for all your good work on that. All right, board salutes. Anybody? Anybody? Mr. Bertin?
A board salute to all the students who attended the recent Business After School program coordinated by the Dubuque Area Chamber of Commerce with partners Northeast Iowa Community College, East Central Intergovernmental Association, Dubuque Area Labor Management, and the Dubuque Community School District. Almost 60 students attended the sessions at area businesses designed to give them a look into a variety of high-demand career fields. Thanks also to the district staff who assisted in planning the event. So thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Bertin.
I have one.
Ms. Siegert?
I have a board salute that goes out to the HEART program, which will receive a Ken Kringle Historic Preservation Award, which is actually going to be tomorrow evening at the Historic Preservation Awards ceremony, from the Dubuque Historical Preservation Commission for the recent work to 2300 Jackson Street. The work completed is an excellent example of outstanding contributions toward preservation and the community. The HEART program is a partnership between the Dubuque Community School District, Four Mounds Foundation, the City of Dubuque, Dupaco Community Credit Union, Four Oaks of Iowa, and Northeast Iowa Community College that gives real-world experience to students in the construction trade while helping them attain a high school diploma. So congratulations to all those partners involved in the great project and the award they'll get tomorrow evening.
Thank you.
I have another one here.
Oh, Mr. Prohaska.
Board salute to Trees Forever, Black Hills Energy, Power of Trees program, and Alliant Energy's Branching Out programs. Two $1,800 grants from these organizations are allowing Hempstead High School to plant 30 trees on the school's campus to increase the energy efficiency and beauty. Kudos to Hempstead teachers Angie Breitbach and Karen Hitchcock for co-authoring the grant, and for students on the school's green team for facilitating the planting and the project kickoff event. Stan and I were there for a while the other morning, and it was quite breezy and quite cold out there. And they planted the trees quite quickly, needless to say.
Thank you, Mr. Prohaska. All right, any other board salutes? Okay. Visitors in open forum.
I move that the Board of Education suspend the rules of order and go into open forum.
Second.
Moved and seconded that the Board of Education suspend the rules of order and go into open forum. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We are again in open forum. Any individuals wishing to address the board on any topics, please approach the podium. We'll need your name and address, especially yours.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
My name is Mike Size. I'm the Director of School and Community Relations with the district. As you know from previous meetings, the district is engaged with Loras College Productions to provide us with comprehensive video services as part of the district's communication efforts. And excuse me, as you've requested, an occasional update from those efforts, and so I just thought I would take a minute to introduce Mr. Craig Schaefer, who oversees Loras College Productions, and just take a minute to say how tremendously excited we are to continue this wonderful partnership and the real impact it's made in our communication efforts in the district. We just returned from the State School PR Association conference last week and continue to hear again of the kudos of the great video production work that we have in the district. And so I'll turn it over to Mr. Schaefer, but just wanted to thank you for your support of those efforts, and we'll turn it over to Craig.
Thank you.
Might jump in while Craig is coming up. This was a significant part of our strategic plan to communicate better with our parents, our business leaders, our constituents, and this is certainly one of the cornerstones to our being able to do that. So.
Thanks, Mike. Good evening, board members, Superintendent Reigans. I'm Craig Schaefer, 17103 Northern Hills Drive. And it's really a pleasure for me to be here and just give you a short update on what we've been doing and what we're up to, and certainly open the forum to you to ask any questions you have of us. It's hard to believe we started doing this 4 years ago almost, coming this summer, 4 years, and we're really pleased, as you know, to be able to continue to work with you in the near future again. we've really had an outstanding run, and all of it really has to do not so much with the quality of the productions we do, for which we're very, very proud of what we can do, but it has everything to do with the partnership that we have with the communication team here at the school district. And I would issue you a challenge. Walk around the building and talk to folks in the building here and see if they can tell you who's a Loras College production employee and who's a school district employee of the folks that are here, right? Most people don't know that there's a separation, because our job is to absolutely be here, whether it's in the morning, whether it's in the evening, throughout the day, and to serve the needs of the school district. And I think we've been able to do that pretty successfully. Earlier this year, I'm very proud to say that nationally, our public access station that we run for you was named the top educational access station in the country for the second time now in those 4 years. And that's really a testament, not just to their hard work. Felicia Carner, I think most of you know, we all know Felicia. She's fabulous. Keep telling her that. And we just brought on board Michael Lawrence, and over the years we've had Mike McCarty and Aaron Horst, and we've been really blessed. We've had really wonderful interns, and I make a good shout out to Austin Cousins, doing a great job right over here for us. And then when we have bigger things going, one of the things we want to do is make sure we do it right. And so we'll bring in Jake back there, and once in a while they even have to bring me in to kind of help out a little bit. That's when things get sketchy, I realize, yeah.
That's when it kind of steps
yeah,
back
yeah, right.
We know.
We don't air much of that stuff. But the crux of it is the communication that happens with Mike's team and our team to really bounce ideas back and forth, to disagree on what the best way to do things is, but to coalesce around what are the strategic communication initiatives of the school district. So whether it's giving some of our students and faculty, the students and faculty are the stars, right? They're the stars of the school district. That is who we're about. That's who we're trying to serve. And to allow them to tell their story in their words and to share to the many, many publics that you have to serve, right? And we realize how many publics you serve, the students themselves and your administration and the staff and of course the parents, but of course the greater Dubuque community, right? The business leaders and the workers and everyone that's in the community has a vested interest, and we want to share those stories, whether it's on our cable access channel or through the web or through social or any way we can do that. So we're really proud of what we've been able to do there. You should know that in the 4 years, almost 4 years, we've been able to garner almost $66,000 in grants to really completely overhaul what we do here technologically, and to keep us at the forefront. And we're currently working on updating some of what we call our interconnect so we can continue to improve the quality of the signal that folks can see at home. While a lot of you see that what we do for the board meetings, this is kind of, I hate to tell you, this is kind of the worst part of what we do. It's not nearly as much fun as all the other things that we get to do.
He went just a minute too long.
He did.
It was all sounded pretty
good, right?
The whole national award thing.
Yeah.
Here we are now.
It's a really critical, important piece for us, and we realize that. But we have a lot more fun being in the schools and telling their stories, and that's critical. And everything from telling those stories and celebrating folks to making sure we're currently working on some safety information videos for both the high school level and the primary level to say, hey, if something were to go awry in school and someone may be there, right? How do you react? How do you respond? And we're working on those things. Those things are critical, right? We live in a time and a place where we have to be on top of making sure people are prepared. And fortunately, we live in a community where we're very diligent about that, and we're fortunate. But that doesn't dismiss us from being responsible to those folks. And so that's a couple of key things we're working on right now. And what we've also been able to do is this year we're working with each of the junior highs with our LEAP program. And so the students are working with us and working with Felicia and Mike, and they're teaching them directing and writing and producing and camera and working on editing and all those things that are educational in terms of what we do and provide that service to them as well. So that's a little bit about what we're doing, but I'm certainly happy to entertain any questions at all.
I don't have a question. I just want to congratulate you. Obviously, those accolades are great, but I think you said it. The real key is telling the story, and your ability to be immersed in our district, I think, is really what makes that come to life. Because I think many of us see that every day. And again, our challenge, and I know it was our strategic initiative, was to share that story. Because unfortunately, in today's age, all you read about usually is what's not right. And we know so much is going right in our buildings and with our students. So thank you for helping us tell that story. We really appreciate that partnership.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the trust that you give to us, and we'll continue to earn that trust, I guarantee you, in the years ahead.
And we'll try to make this a lot more interesting.
If we could, that would be great. Yeah.
No, let's not do that.
I kind of like boring.
Yes. Be exciting in the buildings.
Predictable's all right.
Predictable's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Greg.
Any other individuals wishing to address the board at this time?
I move that the Board of Education reinstate the rules of order and return to regular session.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Education reinstate the rules of order and return to regular session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Consent agenda.
I move that the Board of Education approve those items listed in the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Education approve those items listed in the consent agenda. Are there any board members wishing to pull any items from the consent agenda for separate discussion?
We need to pull the personnel report, please.
Okay. Any other items?
I want to pull that Iowa athletic thing just for discussion.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Act on those minus the withdrawn ones. Okay, so with those two removals, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those carry. First, personnel report.
Well, thank you for pulling that. As you know, earlier this year, Dale Last, principal at Roosevelt Middle School, who was the first principal of Roosevelt Middle School, in fact, he was brought on board a year before the building opened, announced his retirement after 40-plus years in education. Since that time, we have undergone a search for the next, second principal of Eleanor Roosevelt Middle School. We had approximately 20 applications for that position. We put together a committee, two committees actually, totaling probably 14, 16 people. We reviewed applications. We chose 6 of those 20 individuals who had administrative experience to come in for interviews. Went a little further down, got down to 4, interviewed 4 applicants, met with the committees, did some background checks. I guess what I'm trying to paint the picture of is we did a pretty diligent search to make sure that the next principal is the right person to lead that forward, to continue that from good to great sort of mindset. So I'm pleased to announce that I'm recommending Jeff Joel, who has been the assistant principal at Roosevelt Middle School since its opening in 2005. Prior to that, Jeff was a social studies teacher at Washington Middle School, starting in 1991. He has a bachelor's degree from University of Wisconsin at Platteville and a master's degree in educational administration from Loras College. So pleased to bring that recommendation to the board. Know that we did a thorough search internally and externally, and it's always reassuring to know that we've got great folks internal to the district.
Very good. Is there a motion to approve the personnel report?
I move that this Board of Education approve the personnel report as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded and approved the personnel report as submitted. Any other discussion?
Can I just mention that, Jeff, I know you spend about 23 hours a day at Roosevelt. Are you going to be adding that 24th hour to your schedule now? Okay, just wanted to double check.
Was that a yes? Or we get it?
Quietly.
Yeah.
I would add that I taught with Jeff for 5 or 6 years back in the day at Wash, and there were a number of terrific teachers at Wash. None of them was any better than Jeff. And when it comes to parents handing their kids over every day to a principal, Jeff knows what good teaching looks like. Jeff knows what good discipline looks like. Jeff knows what fun looks like in the classroom, and I'm excited. I'm excited. I know what kind of work Jeff has done. Coached a slug of sports seasons back in the day. I beat him every time our teams went head-to-head. He doesn't like to talk about that, but that was a joke. I guess I'm going over very well. I peeked out with the wisecrack.
I don't believe it. I
Schaefer.
get it. I don't believe it, but I get it.
He's not laughing.
It is exciting to see Jeff getting this position.
Very much so. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Gould. All right. Facilities support. Oh, I'm
Wait,
sorry.
there's a
Well,
second
there's one
item.
more item. The Iowa Athletic contract.
Yeah, I wanted to have that withdrawn just for a small discussion. A little bit, like philosophically, I don't feel that activity funds should be used necessarily for upgrading facilities. We don't provide outdoor surfaces for outdoor sports, football, tennis, etc. Neither do we do for our basketball. And I know that timing's a big issue here. And I know I don't know for sure how the rest of the board feels, but I think we want to encourage participation by booster clubs. But I don't feel like the activity funds, the funds that the kids raise through selling pizzas and cookie dough and stuff like that, should be used for athletic fields. Now, maybe there need to be a longer study, or we need to put this on a 5-year plan or something like that. Bill, would you like to share a little bit about the background behind this, if you could, please?
If you don't mind, while Bill's coming up, I'll jump in real quick.
Yep.
I think part of the issue here is the timing of when this was brought forward. If you think about the tennis court, for example, at Senior, that's been on the agenda for several years. It just takes us time. And so, as Bill will explain, this would be put on an upcoming budgetary cycle. Unfortunately, it was brought forward after this year's budget was already established.
Yeah, good evening, board members. That's correct. A couple of months ago, as fast as time goes, maybe that's February, Mr. Cook approached me on this project. We discussed it. He wanted assistance in obtaining competitive bids on it. We were happy to provide him with that direction. The bids were all put together. By the time they got back, as the superintendent said, this next fiscal year was already set. We had some flexibility and some funds there we could offer. So we had a amicable agreement between Mr. Cook and Buildings and Grounds that we would provide him with $5,000 to assist him with those field improvements. Keep in mind that we already had plans to improve the tennis court at Senior, $55,000 there. New scoreboard at Nora Gym is for this summer. That's over $20,000. Stormwater improvements that affect the tennis court are also on this year's plan. That's $35,000. And we just recently installed a new scoreboard on the softball field. So a lot of people waited several years for those to get through the pipeline and get to the point where we could fund those. So it was simply a case of, would you like to move that ahead now? And we have this agreement where we can kind of co-op, work together and get it done. Or would you like to wait until next fiscal year in which we can fund the whole project? So the decision was made there. They'd like to move ahead now and get it done sooner. So that's what brings it to your board meeting tonight.
So is there only basically a year difference, are we saying, or is it a 5-year difference?
We could do it next year.
You could do it next year.
Because we operate about a year out. By the time we get through the public improvement processes and other things that are on our desk, it takes about a year for people to start talking to me. And sometimes it takes 1 to 4 years, depending on what the process is. For instance, the tennis court improvements required soil improvement testing, which you all approved, and we worked through that very diligently and with the process in mind so that we wouldn't make mistakes and put good money after bad. So sometimes that seems like we're taking a long time to make these improvements, but we're following a process that we believe is very prudent when we make those decisions.
Well, that's encouraging for me to hear that there's a possibility if they would, let's say, delay this for 1 year, that they could be in the mix, so to speak, for next year.
But they've had this conversation with you. It's not like this
Yep.
is not
Right.
new. They've sat
Right.
down, the building athletic director, the district athletic director, and the coach who's wanting this has sat down with you and had this discussion. So they're aware of the timing.
That's correct.
And they
We didn't
are
mandate.
choosing. Right.
We didn't mandate anything to them. We just said, here's what we can do this year for you.
Right.
If
Right.
you would like to wait, we can do more.
Right. And
'Cause in principle, I agree with you. I don't think they should be in a position where they have to do that. But
Right.
at the same time, as I think, as Bill pointed out, whether it's the softball scoreboard or whatever, they were a request in line. They were placed into a budget. They waited their turn because obviously we'd love to fund everything tomorrow, but can't. And so to the extent that they want to accelerate that, that does become their dime. I mean, or the alternative, which is what everybody faces, is they could wait until it falls into the schedules.
Right.
Or they could give something up. They're also aware that we're getting these scoreboard improvements at Nora.
Yeah.
We could simply give those up and reallocate the money to that.
Right.
Okay.
So that's the decisions we work out with
I
them.
wouldn't like to recommend
I mean,
That scoreboard is problematic at best.
Absolutely.
It's enrollment.
And I think it's also important to note that they have requested somewhat of an upgrade in materials. I mean, there's this traditional limestone that we would use on a baseball, softball field, and Bill might know the difference between that and Shakopee limestone. I know it's a different color and has a different rate at which it dries. So that's a request also. So it's not asking for the standard, but and so there's sometimes there's a significant additional cost for that as well.
That's correct. It simply was a timing issue.
Yep, timing,
they wanted
yep.
to bring it forward quicker. And while we like to support them also, again, it's just a timing.
Well, I appreciate your responding to that. I'm glad to hear that it isn't necessarily a five-year extension on it, so to speak, or delay for 5 years, but it could be a 1 year.
That's correct.
Thank
There's
you
a lot
very
of
much.
projects.
but there are some out there in the four.
Oh, there's a lot of projects
Oh,
coming
yeah.
in the next 4 years.
In the queue.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
I guess the comment I was going to make is that it is noted that Tim, the baseball program is working closely with you, that any work they are doing is not going to, they're not stepping ahead and changing what your vision is for that field in the future. So they're working together with you and
That's
continue
correct.
with the long-range plan.
At both high schools and middle schools. We just met today, in fact, on where we're going in the next 6 months to a year. So,
Really trying to make sure we spend the dollar one time.
Right.
and get everything aligned up correctly.
All right. Any other questions?
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the agreement with Iowa Athletic Field Construction Company?
I move that the Board of Education approve the agreement as submitted with Iowa Athletic Field Construction Company, as submitted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Education approve the agreement for professional services associated with the baseball field at Senior High School with Iowa Athletic Field Construction Company. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. That completes our consent agenda. Thank you. Facility Support Services Committee report, Mr. Byteen.
Yes, we have several motions. I would suggest the scouts listen very closely. This is where it gets very exciting.
Take good notes.
Craig, you may want to focus in tightly to get all the full emotion of the following.
Yes. High def.
I move the Board of Education tentatively approve the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of total cost for the senior high school drop-off lane project and set the date, time, and location as May 2nd, 2016 at 5:30 p.m. at the Forum, 2300 Cheney Road, Dubuque, Iowa, for a hearing thereon, and further authorize the advertisement for competitive bids.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Education tentatively approve the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of total cost for the senior high school bus drop-off lane project. Set the date, time, and location as May 2nd, 2016 at 5:30 p.m. at the Forum, 2300 Cheney Road, Dubuque, Iowa, for a hearing thereon, and further authorize the advertisement for competitive bids. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Okay, stay tuned. I move the Board of Education adopt the following resolution approving the construction contract, certificate of insurance, and bonds. Be it resolved by the Board of Education, Dubuque Community School District, Dubuque, Iowa, that the construction contract and bonds executed and insurance coverage for the Transportation Department asphalt replacement project as described in detail in the plans and specifications heretofore approved, and which have been signed by the contractor be and the same are hereby approved, and board president is authorized to execute said contract on behalf of the district outlined as follows. Contractor, McLean Excavating. Date of contract, April 11th, 2016. Bond surety, the Ohio Casualty Insurance Company, $383,152. Date of bond, April 11th, 2016.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the Board of Education adopt the resolution approving construction contract, certificate of insurance, and bonds for the Transportation Department asphalt replacement project as read. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
I move the Board of Education adopt the following resolution improving construction contract, certificate of insurance, and bonds. Be it resolved by the Board of Education, Dubuque Community School District, Dubuque, Iowa, that the construction contract and bonds executed and insurance coverage for the Hempstead and Senior High School tennis court repair project, as described in detail in the plans and specifications heretofore approved, and which have been signed by the contractor, be and the same are hereby approved, and board president is authorized to execute said contract on behalf of the district outlined as follows. Contractor, Protract and Tennis Incorporated. Date of contract, March 21st, 2016. Bond surety, American Contractors Indemnity Company, $107,950. Date of bond, March 24th, 2016.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Education adopt the resolution approving construction contract, certificate of insurance, and bonds for the Hempstead and Senior High School tennis court repair project as read. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Have I lost anybody yet? You're all good. All right. I move the Board of Education adopt the following resolution approving construction contract, certificate of insurance, and bonds. Be it resolved by the Board of Education, Dubuque Community School District, Dubuque, Iowa, that the construction contract and bonds executed and insurance coverage for the Hoover Elementary School bus parking lot project, as described in detail in the plans and specifications heretofore approved, and which have been signed by the contractor, be and the same are hereby approved, and board president is authorized to execute said contract on behalf of the district outlined as follows. Contractor, Eastern Iowa Excavating and Concrete, LLC. Date of contract, April 11th, 2016. Bond surety, West Bend Mutual Insurance Company, $200,133.50. Date of bond, April 11th, 2016.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Education adopt the resolution approving construction contract, certificate of insurance, and bonds for the Hoover Elementary School bus parking lot project as read. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Two more. I move the Board of Education adopt the following resolution approving construction contract, certificate of insurance, and bonds. Be it resolved by the Board of Education of Dubuque Community School District, Dubuque, Iowa, that the construction contract and bonds executed and insurance coverage for the Irving Elementary School bus parking lot project, as described in detail in the plans and specifications heretofore approved, and which have been signed by the contractor, be and the same are hereby approved, and the board president is authorized to execute said contract on behalf of the district outlined as follows. Contractor, McDermott Excavating. Date of contract, April 11th, 2016. Bond surety, Merchants Bonding Company for $309,900. Date of bond, April 11th, 2016.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the Board of Education adopt the resolution approving construction contract, certificate of insurance, and bonds for the Irving Elementary School bus parking lot project as read. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Education adopt the following resolution approving construction contract, certificate of insurance, and bonds. Be it resolved by the Board of Education, Dubuque Community School District, Dubuque, Iowa, that the construction contract and bonds executed and insurance coverage for the Eisenhower Elementary School roof replacement project, as described in the detail in detail in the plans and specifications heretofore approved and which have been signed by the contractor be and the same are hereby approved, and the board president is authorized to execute said contract on behalf of the district outlined as follows. Contractor, Giese Roof Company. Date of contract, April 11th, 2016. Bond surety, the Hanover Insurance Company in the amount of $98,888. Date of bond is April 11th, 2016.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Education adopt the resolution approving the construction contract, certificate of insurance, and bonds for the Eisenhower Elementary School roof replacement project as read. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you.
Move the Board of Education approve the professional services agreement amendment with Seltzer Schaefer Architects for the Hempstead High School Athletic Field Improvements Project at an additional cost of $15,020.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Education approve the professional services agreement amendment with Seltzer Schaefer Architects for the Hempstead High School Athletic Field Improvements Project at an additional cost of $15,020. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
I move that the Board of Education approve the agreement with IIWPC for the Eisenhower Elementary and Jefferson Middle School roof repairs project at a cost of $15,000.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the Board of Education approve the agreement with IIWPC for the Eisenhower Elementary and Jefferson Middle School roof repair projects at a cost of $15,000. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
I believe Mr. Kelleher will present the ASBO International Certificate of Excellence.
What's that? Or we can just talk about it. I thought you had it. Oh, no, you got it. Okay.
A copy of the certificate is in your packet. This is a document called the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. It's both the audited financial statements as well as some other statistical information that we submit to the Department of Education. It is reviewed not only by the auditors, but also by ASBO International to make sure it's in compliance with school reporting. So we happily expect to get this award each year, and I have to publicly compliment members of my staff who are integral in this document. Joan Steffen, it's a 154-page document. She types probably 148 pages of it because there's probably 6 pages submitted by the auditor. So she enters all of that information. And then I think Rick Till has come to the committee and presented to you 3 5-inch binders of work papers. All of that work goes into compiling that CAFR. So there's a lot of work put into that document, and we're very proud of that document.
Yep. Very good. Thank you.
You got the motion before the presentation?
Yeah.
Move the Board of Education approve the quarterly budget report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Education approve the quarterly budget report. Mr. Kelleher.
This is just really a reminder comment. On page 122 of your packet, you see total expenditures and budgets for all of the district funds. And I just wanted to bring your attention to a couple of the totals. The first one is the management fund total. You see that at the end of the year, the budget balance has a negative amount. The reason for that is because in the management fund, we paid an extra early retirement incentive last year to the teachers. This budget was actually created before that incentive was added to our district, so that was not put into the system when that budget was created. There is plenty of management fund cash to deal with that over expenditure, so it's just a matter that it wasn't budgeted at the time. That plan wasn't in place at the time we budgeted this, so that's why it shows a deficit. Also, you see a deficit in the Pebble Fund. Reason for that, again, is, as you know, there's been some changes with how special ed funding has taken place. Previously, all those expenses were included in special ed. Now we have to pull out that rent piece. The rent piece is almost over $1 million, and that has moved to the Pebble Fund. And again, that was not budgeted originally when this was put together. So that's the reason that one is overspent. Any other questions on the quarterly budget? Okay, thank you.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Kelleher. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. All right. Ed Programs Policy Strategy Committee report, Ms. Ryan.
Just to be aware that we did look at we approved in the consent agenda the school attendance policy that was kind of cleaned up. So there's just some details in there that were cleaned up under that. And the other policy was on participation in charitable activities, which had some language change due to what is defined by the IRS. So that's some of the stuff we had to do.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Ryan? All right. New business?
I move that the Board of Education consider termination of contract with employee number 8929 due to budget reductions.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Education consider termination of contract with employee 8929 due to budget reductions. Discussion?
Absolutely. So this is just the follow-up. We've had this conversation in 2 previous board meetings, one in which we adjusted the organizational chart of the district. So as you know, we're making $3 million worth of reductions to our budget based on supplemental state aid numbers for the last 7 years. So as we do that, we have identified 13.8 positions at the forum, so just over $2 million worth of those reductions coming at the district office level. 2 of those are administrators. One administrator had been with the district long enough and had reached a point where they could choose to retire when faced with the fact that that job was going to be eliminated. They chose retirement. The other doesn't have that option, so this is the step we have to take. We've notified that person a month ago. Not a surprise to them, but this is the official step that we take to eliminate that, or to terminate that contract for the position that was eliminated due to the restructuring of our administrative team at the district.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, a roll call, I'm sorry.
Mr. Barton.
Aye.
Mr. Byteam.
Aye.
Mr. Donahue.
Aye.
Mr. Prohaska.
All right.
Ms. Ryan.
Aye.
Ms. Siegert. Aye. Ms. Whitman.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
You can do this one.
Go for it.
I move that the Board of Education excuse seniors for making up any snow days in June.
There was only one. Second.
You're going to be their favorite. It's been moved and seconded that the board, I know you want to discuss this. It's been moved and seconded that the Board of Education excuse seniors from making up any snow days in June. Discussion.
Yeah, Craig was over there reading all sorts of, seemingly important motions, when in reality, I ran my re-election campaign on a platform that I will keep seniors from making up as many snow days as possible. And I'm following through on that promise.
Proverbial get out of jail free.
Actually, this is something we've done a number of times in the past. It makes all the sense in the world from a process standpoint with the calendar to make sure that the seniors can appropriately graduate in time. They have so many some leeway in days.
Right. When we build a calendar, we have to build either days or the same number of hours that guarantees seniors have 100. Normal students, all students of the seniors, have 180 days or 11,080 hours. And so for the seniors, I'm sorry, 1,180 hours. 11,000 would be a lot. 1,180 hours. So as we have snow days, those get put on the end. Well, based on when graduation is, we just have to take this step to say you don't have to make up those snow days. So we build our calendar in accordance with the regulations. The snow days disrupt that a little bit, and so the board has the authority to waive the snow day makeup for seniors.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and Mr. Barton's campaign resolution is intact. Board member comments, concerns?
It's great to see the scouts here.
Yes, thank you
Really
guys.
is. It's-
Appreciate you stepping in and doing the pledge too. Help Tom remember the words.
Yeah.
Anything administratively?
Just briefly, as an FYI, an update, I know people are waiting as we wade through the budget reduction process. So as was presented to the board previously, we did reduce about $2.2 million at the form level, which means that we are now in the process of working through some changes at the building level. And so the number I'm most frequently asked is how many teachers will we lay off this year? Well, based on some attrition and some teachers who have chosen either to move or to stay home with kids or to a variety of reasons life takes them another direction. We believe the actual number of layoffs at this time will be less than 10 and potentially significantly less than 10. So certainly better than we had initially anticipated. That 10 is pretty evenly distributed between secondary and elementary education. So as we finalize those plans this week, we'll begin notifying those teachers. But again, as other teachers choose to tell us that they have other plans, then that brings people back. And I think we'll get through this phase with most people who desire to have jobs in the district still having those positions. So I thought that was good news to share.
That is good news, and certainly appreciate your work and the hard work of your staff to make that happen, because that was certainly our directive, was to make changes but make them as far away from student impact as possible, and it sounds like you're doing a great job of that.
We're getting there.
Yep. All right. Anything else for the better of the day? We're adjourned. Thank you.